And I'm glad that you're here. So practice together. Please settle into a comfortable seat first. And it is Earth Day. And that's another great reason to be doing a grounding practice like this. And I'm going to read to you a little something about Earth Day as you settle into your breath and kind of find your way with that. This is called Seeing the Bigger Picture. It's by Daily Om. Seeing an image of the planet Earth taken from space inspires awe in many of us, since we can clearly see the connectedness of all of us who live upon this planet. We have created imaginary boundaries, sectioning ourselves into countries and states, forgetting that in reality, we're all living together, breathing the same air, drinking from the same water, eating food grown from the same earth. We share everything on this planet, whether we are conscious of it or not, with other people, and those people are our brothers and sisters. When we contemplate the earth in her wholeness, we attune ourselves to the truth of the bigger picture, which is the earth, and all of us, every one of us, are living on her body. We're connected to one another in the most intimate way because we literally share our living space. As more people become aware of the reality of our interdependence, things will shift in a positive direction, and much of the discord that we see now will give way to a more cooperative, loving consciousness. And this is happening already. So as our consciousness grows, we can join the many other minds working to live in the spirit of togetherness. Love that spirit of togetherness. So please join me in taking left hand over the heart. We've each come to our mat for a very individual and personal reason. But I know each one of you, and I also know that you're on your mat to try to bring your best self into the world, to let the things that are tight and hard melt away. So there's a softness, a gentleness, along with your strength in the way that you walk, step by step, day by day. So let's bow to this hour of grounding, of settling, of just kind of letting things clear, like placing that shaken snow globe down on the counter and let it all just settle. We'll do that with breath, open awareness meditation, and with the postures. And let's add right hand on top of left and feel this just powerful crisscross of your palms over your heart. And remember that what you do does affect others, and it affects our Mother Earth. So it's my prayer that not just today on Earth Day, but every day, we would just simply grow one more bit in consciousness, in our love for ourselves and for others, and our ability to open up to grace that's offered to us continually. I also pray this be a practice of peace for each one of us. May it be so. And if you want to take your hands and just point them toward the screen in a gesture of sharing acknowledgement, sending good energy, peace, loving kindness to each other. I would love that. Thank you for that. That means something to me. So I'd like you to shift. You're already seated, but I'm going to drop back and have a seat. We'll do a little fluid warm up just to kind of get into our bodies and settle into breath, and then we'll be into our postures that we hold. Remember to mute you all. And if something goes wrong with the sound, or you need to tell me something, don't hesitate to unmute and just speak it out. And also feel free to turn your camera off if you wish. All right, somebody wants to come late. Okay, there we go. So you've got the legs folded in the opposite direction from where you were before. And let's take the arms out and up and slowly start slow life down. Palms touch overhead, guide the thumbs down, center line. And then start to match up your breath and your movement. And you're going to go at a pace that is your own. Not concerned at all about matching me or anybody else. Stretch the in-breath. We're rooting, finding the earth through our seat, finding the element of air through our hands. Noticing that the thumbs pass by the heart center, so we're aware that we're body, mind, and heart all starting to come together. If you feel comfortable putting a sound to your breathing, that can make it an even deeper practice. And you're tuning in early in practice, not trying to do something to your body. You're just starting to connect and find out really what's happening so you can respond skillfully. And this one more time together. Inhaling way up. Exhale, palms come down. Pause, look down, bring your fingertips onto the ground in front of you and just stay here. Settle your sitting bones back behind you. Maybe a little wiggle of your torso left and right to loosen things up a little bit. And perhaps a step out with each palm and let your head hang. If it feels good, tip your right ear towards your right shoulder and your left ear towards your left shoulder. And back and forth a couple of times. And kind of patient with the winding your way in toward your sacred center. It's a bit of a journey, so no surprise if you're a bit distracted and congested to begin with. And then rolling back up, fingertips can walk in. If you want to flip the fold of the legs yet again, go right ahead. And then let's take a twist to the left. Right hand to left kneecap. Support yourself on the left fingertips behind you. And then just relax the jaw and see if that might also relax the hips down a little bit. And rotate. What do you notice? What part of the spine does this twist seem to affect first? If you imagine each vertebrae of the spine as a little step, your awareness is walking up the steps. So, what's there? It's such a practice of noticing, slowing down long enough, and let the sweetness of life find you. Because it's always there. We just don't always notice it. Let's rotate the other way. Left hand onto right knee. Support yourself with the right fingertips behind you. Slow and steady twist right. Same thing. Walking your awareness up each vertebrae, right up the spine. Bring yourself right back to center. And then please take your feet now about as wide as your mat. Do a little seated cat and cow for a few moments here. So you could have the palms in the front of the knees or the shins, or sometimes behind the knees works well. But first of all, we're going to lean back. Round and tuck, bring your chin in towards your chest. Tuck your belly in, feel your back body open. And slowly sit up. Feel the way that you can press into your sitting bones. Bring your pelvis and ribs forward any amount, your chest forward. Maybe it feels good to lift the chin, maybe not. Just feeling that opening of the front body. And then finding a little bit of a flow between those two. I like to breathe out when I'm rounding and tucking and expanding back body. And then breathe in, expanding front body. match up your breath. Make the movement last as long as the breath goes. Higher inhale lifts you up, zips up the front. Entire exhale opens the back. Good. And then one more time. And then once you find your spine back up to neutral, you can remain seated on the blanket if you'd like. You're going to be taking the bolster and placing it out so that you're going to be, we're going to be side bending over the bolster. It's been a little while since we've done that. And the setup that I'm going to suggest is to snug your left hip right up to the edge of the bolster and have a block handy in case you're going to want it for your head. So I don't know if you will, but I want you to have that. And then if you look down, the legs are positioned in a deer shape. So I've got left heel tucked in, right heel tucked behind me. Fingertips of the right hand are going to come down onto the ground somewhere outside of the right leg. And if that's not possible, it can just rest right on the right leg. And they're going to come up and we're going to hold the side bend over to the right before we drape over the bolster on our left. Ooh, so settle. Remember, in Yin, you don't need to use any part of the body that's not actively involved in the pose. And so particularly I'm making reference to the head, the neck, the jaw, really trying to stay soft through there, and quite often the shoulders as well. As you stay in this side bend, you feel a little compression, right side waist. Deep opening starting to happen from your left sitting bone up to your left hand. Soft eyes. Draw yourself back up through center, and then you're going to drape over. So I'm going to take the left hand, place it on the far side of the bolster, sometimes taking your right hand and just kind of pulling the side of your torso up and then laying it on the bolster. We're right there. Drop down to your left elbow, and for starters, put your head in your left palm. And then the right arm's going to come up. We're going to start to find a position here that's going to work for us for holding. So some of you might stay on the elbow. Some of you might decide to use that block somehow for the left side of your head. What I would like for you to experience is from the right hip all the way through the right ribs, out to the right hand, a really long stretch. Molding your body over this shape. Some of you that don't need any support might have your arms like in ragdoll, cupping them over. So whatever feels like an opportunity for your head to have a mild bit of support, but also draping enough to create a weight that facilitates that stretch, that would be good. And then maybe your legs stay the way that we started them, or maybe you decide you want to lengthen out through your right leg. You could also lengthen out through both legs if you want, or any kind of combination of that. And we'll stay here for a minute or two, and then we're going to roll on to our backs. So we're going to stay on that hip. Dropping into your own space, your own energy. Allowing the room where you're practicing to support you in a sacred kind of way. Your little temple, your little chapel. Allowing yourself to relate to the ground under you. Solid elements within your body, particularly thinking about the bones. As muscles soften, it can feel like the bones get heavier. willingness to stay with what is. If your eyes are closed, just notice how that it's kind of like drawing the drapes closed on your house. You don't need to give much attention to what's outside at the moment. More of an inner journey. A couple minutes in at this point, do you feel anything soften? And if so, a little adjustment in the body's placement could be fitting so that you can kind of take advantage moving into that space that's being created through the stretch. Continual awareness of the rise and fall of the breath in and out through the nostrils. The body being given what it needs to live. And some of you will stay here for the next 2 minutes, or some of you might keep that left hip down like I'm going to, but roll your chest open. And this would be a really great opportunity to use that block. So if you decide to go the next option, you're rolling the chest open so that both of your shoulder blades are on the bolster. I'm still keeping my legs in that deer shape, that pinwheel shape. And then the block under the head here can feel really nice unless you have a lot of flexibility in your neck and you want to drop the head back. Play around with your arm position, open wide, could feel really good. Or cupping the hands. And with the front body facing the sky, smooth, deep inhalation. It's all kind of expansive quality to that. And the exhalation is a little bit of a melting, so let your left hip release. Melt down to the ground a little more. Allow your right shoulder blade to relax. Let your tongue be soft in the interior of your mouth. The presiding question in a practice like this is, where can I let go? The answer might be a looping thought that you can let go of. Just let it drift away. A gripping in the body that just requires your attention, and it'll start to dissolve. In the final minute, you can stay where you are, whichever variation you're in, or you can switch it around so that you're just seated squarely on the ground, draped over the bolster, soles of your feet together, knees apart, the butterfly pose, but still draped over the bolster, perhaps using the support of the block or coming back to it if you sense that's what you need. Letting the whole front body open. Observing the inseam of the legs. Long lines from the hips up to the shoulders, and then the presence of each arm. And this softness that you're creating through the back body as it molds to the shape. Please bring your knees together if you took that butterfly leg variation. And we're going to come out of the pose. So we're going to roll back over to your left side and press yourself up let's turn our backs to face the bolster and return the legs to that V shape, that butterfly shape, and softly fold forward. It's important that you don't pull and tug. It can feel nice to make a connection with your hands somewhere onto the feet, or perhaps you want to bring your hands down. Relaxing here. If it isn't working for you and you need suggestions, you can take those blocks, put them outside the knees, or you could take a few moments to position your folded blanket under your seat. There's also the possibility of stacking up your blocks on your feet and resting your forehead to relieve a little tension, pressure from your low back. And having compassion on a racing mind, if that's what you've got, it's okay. I love how yoga is a come as you are practice. Oh, so wonderful. Dana Fald's poetry book I'm reading tonight, Breath of Life. I breathe in all that is, awareness expanding to take everything in as if my heart beats the world into being. From the unnamed vastness beneath the mind, I breathe my way toward wholeness and toward healing. Inhalation, exhalation. Each breath a yes and a letting go. Each breath a journey and a coming home. You're about 2 minutes in. You can make a little adjustment. Oftentimes something releases at around that 2-minute time. So maybe you go a little bit deeper for the next minute or two. And more breaths. The stillness relaxing your muscles so those deeper tissues can get the full benefit of the pose. Developing a fuller range of motion. The meridians, energy pathways more easily opened and nourished. There's time and space to explore the inner landscape, the body and the mind. When you feel ready to come out, and if you're not ready, please stay longer. But if you're ready, walk your hands in, put some weight in the hands to support yourself as you come up. And then lengthen your legs out. And you can stay here for the rebound, for the minute. I think I'm going to lean back on my bolster. My elbow's on here, so maybe you want to do the same. And just let everything settle. Let it just percolate. Let there be a gentleness to your thoughts, especially when you're considering yourself. We're so hard on ourselves. Right, we're gonna do the other side. So you sit up. I'm gonna spin to face you, but what you're gonna be doing is taking that right hip up against the bolster. You can probably keep your bolster where it is, even though I'm flipping mine around. You take your time in the setup. Right hip snugged up against the bolster. You got right heel tucked in, and the left heel kind of drawn behind you, so you're back into that shape of a deer or pinwheel. And then left hand comes out on the mat, or if it doesn't reach, remember it can be on the leg, that's just fine. Settle your hips and take your right arm straight up. Relax your jaw, relax the pelvis toward the ground, and come over into a side bend. Now let it go in layers. I imagine you spent enough time rushing today, pushing yourself from one thing to the next. So how about this just be the natural way of easing into things, easing into the postures. Any sense that right sitting bone connected to the ground as if it could grow a root? And that long, beautiful reach out through the right side of your body and feel the texture of what you're touching with your left hand. And as your nerves settle, can you notice any sounds in your environment that normally you wouldn't hear because the roar of the thoughts is so loud? And slowly, with care, sit yourself up. We're going to come on over into that side bend. So lift up the flesh of the right side of the torso. Lay those right ribs over. Take your right elbow onto the ground. And starters, support the right side of your skull in your right palm. And I think you know where we're going. The left arm's going to come up and over. And at this point in the pose, you're facing the long side of your mat. And then see what feels natural on this side. Remember, you can stay kind of stage one, supported, the head on the hands, and just the left arm draping over if you feel a good strong stretch through the left side body. And then kind of next layer might be to take the block and use that to rest your head on. And just remember, we're intending to create a good, strong side bending stretch through the left side body, bending from the left knee out to the left hand. And if that's not enough sensation for you and your neck is healthy, then you don't need necessarily any support other than resting your right ear on your right shoulder and extending out. Possibility of lengthening the left leg any amount if it feels helpful. Exhale, let go. Soften. Melt your right side body over the form of the bolster and open left side body. You presently slightly wiggling your toes if you're having a really hard time settling, just something that keeps you in the body. check in. Could you soften your eyes anymore or your cheeks? Do you have a little space between your teeth? A soft interior to the mouth. And feel free to stay, or you can come with me, rolling the front body open. So you're still kind of keeping the legs the way they are, but turning the upper body. So your chest starts to angle up toward the sky. You're going to find a generous arm position that allows the weight of the arms to facilitate the stretch open through the heart. Release any gripping or tension from your right hip. And let your left shoulder drop down. And observe the process of the body softening, the rotation happening through the spine, this chance for the space of the heart to open, and maybe the breath can help ventilate some of the emotions that you've passed through the heart today that need a little space around them. Again, the question, where can I let go? Or what can I let go of? Remembering time is the magic ingredient. It's even more important than intensity in Yin. Just allowing the time for the body to respond to the shape. For the next minute or so, you can stay where you are, or if you want to transition so that your hips are square down on the ground, soles of your feet together, that reclining butterfly, remembering that it is important to take good care of your neck in a posture like this. So if you need a block, it's there. Breathe. Make any little adjustments to level out your hips so that you feel like both of the buttocks are equally pressured on the ground. You can even let a Mona Lisa smile find its way to your face, which is a means of relaxing and kind of sipping in a little of the sweetness of slowing down. So you can stay as you are, but shift your legs. So take your feet as wide as your mat, and now your knees are up. And if your spine's okay to stay in this supported position a little longer, just stay here with me. You can bring your arms out into some kind of a T shape and just rock your knees side to side as a way of loosening up your low back. And getting in touch with your feet, kind of spread the toes. Feel how you roll from one edge of the foot to the other. Next time your legs, your knees kind of flop over to the right, let's roll onto the right side and come up to a seat. Slowly. I'm not sure that I demonstrated slowly, but that's what I wanted you to do. And then let's lengthen out the legs. If you want to lean back on that bolster, just supporting yourself on your elbows, and take that as a chance to lift the chest up a little bit. Let your legs relax. Soft gaze wherever your eyes land. Bring yourself up, and we're going to prepare for a straddle. I'm going to face long side of the mat. You can do as you wish. And bring your bolster around in front of you. Good. And then take your heels just as wide as you can. Oh, good. Kathy got in the call. All right. Hi, Kathy. All right. Straddle, straddle. Dragonfly. You can take the padding of the buttocks back. You could also sit back on that blanket under your hips if you want to and you need to. Great idea. In fact, I think I'll do the same. This helps getting the sitting bones up a little bit. Much better. And then you can take the padding of the buttocks back. I want you to start with your palms on your bolster and just take a little ease in the shifting. And do you have your heels, far enough away that already you can feel a good strong stretch on the inseam of the legs? If not, a little wider with your feet. And then just tuck your chin in a little bit. You might envision a beautiful long line right from your tailbone to the very base of your skull. Let's take a breath with that. Let's start the process of coming forward and take your time. See how unrushed you can be. You can really feel good to support your chin. And to do so, that might require, getting the bolster up a little bit higher. If your body doesn't fold this way very easily, you can blame your parents for that. There's a lot of genetics that go into how your body can come into a yoga pose or not. Or some of you might find that don't need the bolster, but just remember, you don't need to overdo it. It's much better to use finesse, time and patience and breath to get deeper in. And then as a form of meditation, to train the mind to stay focused, sometimes even to stay focused for 5 seconds is a lot. Focus in on the sensation of the stretch, inseam of the legs. Breathe with it, hold with it. Go into the sensation. Don't run from it or trick yourself by thinking about something else to distract yourself. Go right into the belly of it. Whatever challenges you in this moment, don't fix it. Don't run from it. Just be with it. Check in with your relationship with breath right now. Your relationship with time. We're easy and we're patient. We're in a different relationship with time when we step on the mat. Go in and in. Be the space between two cells, the vast, resounding silence in which spirit dwells. Be sugar dissolving on the tongue of life. Dive in and in as deep as you can dive. Be infinite, ecstatic truth. Be love, conceived and born in union. Be exactly what you seek, the beloved singing yes, until there is only essence, the all of everything expressing through you as you. Go in and turn away from nothing that you find. Last minute, which means about 10 breaths here. You feel like the body's invited in a little bit deeper, or are you right at your edge and need to just stay put? Soft through your feet. Nice, easy flowing breath in and out through the nose. Allow the belly to expand to receive it. Exhale, releasing. I'm going to get it right out. I'm going to press into your palms. Walk yourself up. That's a pretty deep dive. And then there is always that feeling of being fragile when you come out of the pose. Remember, that probably means you're doing something right. It does not mean that you're old. Okay? So rest your feet on the bolster. Come back onto your palms. Just support yourself somehow. Do what feels good here. Be a great idea to let your legs be still, but if you feel like circling your head a little bit, a little move of the shoulder side to side, you can do that. Let the legs integrate. Next pose is Sphinx pose, which is belly down. I don't need the bolster right now, so it goes off to the side. Probably don't need that extra blanket either. So we're coming onto the belly. And we're going to prop ourselves up on our elbows. And then if you're just considering like kind of pubic bone, navel area as center point, let's lift up left leg and extend it out and then drop it back down. Do the same thing with the right, lift it up, lengthen it back, drop it down. And then soften your gaze down towards your hands. Soft touch on the mat. See that your forearms are parallel, like two railroad tracks. And then allow the pelvis to drop even more. You can allow the belly to soften down, which will allow the low back to receive just a nice generous curve. And then relax your lower body a bit. Your gaze is softly forward, or for some of us, gaze is down. And just the image is that we're inviting the spine to soften and drape. It's like when the Newport Bridge is illuminated at night. You get that beautiful swag of lights That's like your spine right here, just draped, beautiful swag. Breathing. And without over-efforting, you certainly could apply a little more pressure down into the elbows if you want to. Bring your ribs forward just a little bit. I'd like you to feel some kind of width across the chest, so we're not hollowing the chest. We're just breathing it open. And then soften your jaw, soften your gaze. Feel the scope of your body, right from the tips of your fingers to the tips of your toes. Now the in-breath, the belly just presses down to meet the earth. And the out-breath, a chance for things to soften a bit. So you don't want to strain. If you've been here long enough, you can come have a rest down on the ground, or you can stay longer. Or if you want more, you can come into seal, spreading through the fingers even more, angling your fingers out slightly, and then lengthening the arms any amount. They don't have to be straight, but they could be. And of course, if the compression is too much, you'd walk your hands forward. Or if it's not enough, you walk your hands back in. Little adjustment that you could make if you're up in seal is you can press your thigh bones, pubic bone down, which helps you to kind of lengthen the tailbone and lengthen the low back a little bit. Takes a slight bit of the compression out of the low back. And then be sure to check in, make sure your neck's not accumulating tension. Maybe dispelling some tension from the neck by tilting your head one side to the other. Soft eyes, soft jaw, soft tongue. Feeling the blend of release and opening, the solidity of the bones, the presence of the muscles. And 5 more smooth, deep breaths here. A healthy squeeze for kidneys and adrenal glands. And a slow melt right down to the ground. Stack your hands, please. Put one cheek down. And for just a few moments, keep your legs long, but just wiggle your tail gently side to side. Feel how that subtle rocking can feel like it kind of cleanses the lower back somehow, like a little sloshing around. And then just hold still, but you can lift your head and turn it the other way if you'd like. Soft, easy breaths. Allow all tension to dissolve, not only from your low back, from your entire body. Just draining right down into the earth. Our next pose is a choice of either wide-kneed child's pose or frog. So I believe that everyone present in class knows wide-kneed child's pose. So you're going to bring your body up, step your knees wide, and you could certainly spend a little time in wide-kneed child's pose and then go into frog if you want to. Make sure that you've got adequate padding under your knees. Take it wide. If you're coming into the child's pose, you can just drop straight down onto the ground, or you can also tuck your bolster in under your belly. You could bring a block under your chest or under your head. So kind of just do that little check-in. So I'm going to go into frog, but if you want to stay in a wide knee child's pose, and that's wonderful. If you want frog, then you need to shift your hips forward so they're in alignment with your knees. And then start to shift your heels apart. And this is a great one to have a block under the chest if you want to. And then make your little last minute fidgets to get your knees wide. If you're in frog, to move those feet a little further apart. And then please support your forehead somehow so that your third eye has a resting point. And just see if the skull getting support like that will help soften down through the jaw. Guide the breath in and out, slow and deep. There's a poem called Still Point. There is a quality of stillness so rare that the air shimmers in its presence. It's there between our eyes. We hear it when we dare to speak the truth. It vibrates with the music of life, dances in the wind, breaks forth from the trees into a clearing just as the sun rises and settles into silence once again. There's a quality of stillness so rare that I am bared to the very marrow of my bones before it. May I choose never to be clothed again. Still point. Good. 10 more breaths in the pose that you're in, or you can make a little shift if you need to, but let's stay 10 more breaths. All right, when you feel ready to come out, let's make it a slow exit, especially if you were in there pretty deeply. Walk your knees in, walk them in until your thigh bones are together, and then come on up. And if your body allows you to sit on your heels, do it. If not, just come right up onto your knees. And let's just pause right here. So thighs together. And if you want to rest your palms on your lap, you can. Also, if you want to drop your right ear towards your right shoulder, could be a good time for that. Left ear toward left shoulder. rise up onto your knees and take your hands behind your back, palm to palm, interlace. Lengthen your knuckles down towards your tailbone. You can drop your gaze, drop your chin, and hug the lower abdomen in a little bit and see how that makes your low back feel a little more spacious. And once again, tip your right ear towards your right shoulder and your left ear towards your left shoulder. Right back up. We're going to come down onto our backs. And you're going to want a block close by. And you might want your bolster as we approach Savasana. You come down onto your back. Keep your feet down on the ground. Drop your head. Kind of get yourself comfortable and oriented toward being in this supine position. And join me in pressing into your feet. Lift your hips up and place the block, and it could be 2 blocks side by side, underneath your tailbone, right? So it's south of your waistband. And take a few breaths here, just stretched out long. Lengthen out your legs. Your back doesn't like that, then just keep your knees bent. That's fine. And take your arms overhead. And kind of give everything a lengthening stretch, and then just release for a few moments here. Feel how beneficial it is to have the weight of your thigh bones drawing toward the ground to help open the front of the pelvis. Arms overhead, feeling the effects of some of what we've done in the twisting and the shoulder opening. Then transitioning your hands down by your side, coming into supported shoulder stand. Bending the knees in and floating the feet up. So this is the lymphatic drainage that Susan mentioned that she was interested in. So this is a very direct line on that. I'm sure other things we did facilitated it also, but this is a definite one. Soften through the feet. Allow your legs to be relaxed so they can certainly be bent. You don't have to have straight legs. Although if your legs go straight, that's fine. Relax. Feel how that just puts some pressure maybe up into the neck, head area. If you're okay with that, we'll stay. If not, you can come out. And then observe. Where can you let go? Where can you wake up? Is there any part of your body that you haven't checked in with yet? You could do that now. Allowing the volume of your thoughts to decrease and the volume of sensation to increase. And keep your feet floating where they are if you want, or if you feel like your low back could use a little bit more stretching, you can let your feet start to drift a little bit toward your head. Not pushing it in any way, just let the legs heavily come toward the torso any amount that they want to. Softly bend your knees, put your feet down on the mat. Okay. We're going to get a little, about 2 minutes, I'd say, for yogi's choice of what you might want to do. You could be done and just want to go into Shavasana at this point, or you might want to do some kind of a spinal twist, perhaps at a minimum, arms in a T, feet wide, knees wide, and then just easy drops of the knees side to side. Or there might be some of you that want to bring the legs in and take a full reclining spinal twist. The choice is yours. Follow your instinct. Listen to your body. This unguided time is really important. This is where you remember that is your practice. I just give you little hints and guidance here and there, but this is all about you and for you. When you're ready, start to position your body ready for guided relaxation. Make sure that you get cozy. That you remember this is possibly the most important part of your practice. Enjoying this is like cooking a great meal and now you get to sit down and eat it. This is important. Allowing yourself to drop into the ground. Sacred mother energy that rises up to meet us whenever we allow ourselves to be held by it. Let's take a break from relying on our own strength all the time. Let's kind of return to the earth. Once the body feels balanced in the way that you have placed it on the ground, softening bit by bit, and this guided journey through the body is not only just a reminder to release each part, but it could also be a beautiful love practice of bathing your body in love as I guide you through the different parts. Kind of just a yes or a thank you to that part of your physical self. So relax your head, the back of your skull, just softening, melting, receiving the support underneath you. With the eyes closed, noticing that's once again like drawing the drapes in your room so that you can get really settled and quiet, no distractions, and feeling the softness of that. Allow your forehead to smooth out, front of the mind to clear. Allow your cheeks to soften. Thankful for all those muscles in the face that allow you to express yourself. That your Lower jaw unhinge from your upper jaw. Be a feeling of openness through the roof of the mouth as the tongue settles. And feel the way that the lips gently are touching. And then the easy flow down through the neck. The throat is soft. The back of the neck is descending and relaxing earthward. Let yourself receive the support that's underneath your shoulder blades, so you can let the back of the shoulders, the back of the heart rest, allowing the front of the heart to open safely. Feel the presence of the shoulders dropping down away from your ears toward the ground, and the flow of presence down through your arms all the way out to your hands. Sense of touch, the way you're able to just show love and care through your hands, appreciating the hands. And we're continuing to release and let go through the whole torso, the chest, the front ribs and the back ribs. That spine is like a string of pearls laid right down on your mat. The organs in the body having gotten some good attention, some restorative compression and expansion. And the width and weight of the pelvis relaxing down, buttocks softening, soft, easy flow of breath. Maybe just barely detectable, but it's there. And feeling the length of your legs, the heaviness of the thigh bones, and the way that the muscles are softly surrounding the bones. Curve of your knees, and the downward slope of the shins, and the cushioning of the calf muscles right beneath the shins. And your heels resting, relaxing your feet to be soft. If you have a sense that there's anything else that wants to drain out of your being, just imagine it trickling right out through the soles of your feet. Mother Nature knows how to transmute it into something good. So just let it go. Let yourself enjoy the waves of natural breath. There are waves of natural thought, but you're just watching them, so you don't need to be disturbed by them. You just observe. They're like clouds in the sky, or a bird flying through your field of vision. It's just, you know it's there, but you don't need to reach for it. And there's an easy way that the waves of emotion are allowed to flow through without being judged or pushed away or held on to. And you're grounded and you're floating kind of at the same time. Attune yourself to any inner shimmer, any inner sense of pleasurable energy flowing. And allowing yourself to enjoy the fruits of your practice, the fruits of showing up. And so, friends and yogis, I encourage you to stay and rest longer if you possibly can. I do pray that this practice brought you peace and a sense of wholeness. And I send you all wishes for peace and health and happiness now and always. Namaste. Thank you for being with me. There's a few more weeks on Zoom, and before you know it, we will be outside together. Have a good night, and I'll see you soon.